Hello, ladies and gentlemen, it's me. Welcome to my channel. So today we're going to be talking about gaming fails and lessons learned. This is an interesting one. So this happened back in 2014 when I was playing Diablo 3. Now, if you haven't played this game before, the basic idea of it is that there are 3 different acts. Act 1, which is the beginning part, is like the tutorial basically. You get introduced to everything and you learn how to play the game. Then you have Act 2, and then you have Act 3. And each act has its own little villain, I guess you could say. Like you have the Butcher in Act 1, some big spider in Act 2, and then some demon lord at the end in Act 3. Now what you do is you go through the act, and you kill monsters, and you gain experience, and you level up your character. And once you hit a certain level requirement, you can then unlock what's called a rift. Now, in order to do these rifts, you need a special item called a rift key. Once you get enough experience and you unlock the rift, you can enter into what's called a greater rift, which is basically a dungeon. It has its own entrance and exit, and all around you are monsters, and they drop items, and you gain more experience and all that good stuff. When you finish the greater rift, the experience that you got from it depends on the level of the rift. The higher the level rift you do, the better the experience you get for completing it. And the way you increase the difficulty of a rift is by using something called a rift stone. The higher the level of the rift stone you use, the harder the enemies inside of the greater rift will be, but the better the rewards will be at the end. Now I had just started playing this game. I created my first ever Crusader, and I was working my way up. I was trying to unlock higher and higher rifts so I could get better gear. At this point, I was doing like rift level 15s, rift level 16s, and I was like, okay, I want to move on to something a little bit harder. So I decided to take a level 18 rift stone. What I didn't realize was the level requirement to unlock a rift with that rift stone was level 40, and I was only level 35. Now, I'm not entirely sure how this happened, because I do remember even being close to a level 40 rift at this point. But for whatever reason, I was able to click on the rift portal. I think maybe the fact that I had already done 2 rifts that day, and maybe the server thought that I was level 40 or something like that. Anyway, I was able to click on it, and I was able to join the game, and things were going well. I mean, I knew I was out of my league here. I knew I was underleveled by 5 whole levels, but I figured it would be fine. I've done harder things in other games. What could possibly go wrong? Well, as it turns out, quite a bit actually. So I joined the game, and right away I'm noticing that the monsters have way more health than I expected them to. I was like, okay, that's fine, I can deal with that. But then I started to notice that the monsters had much stronger attacks than I had anticipated. I was taking damage, and I was like, wait a second, this isn't good. But still I pressed on. I was like, okay, I can do this. Maybe I'll get lucky, and I'll beat some of these monsters, and maybe I can survive. But no, unfortunately, that did not happen. I kept getting hit over and over and over again. I didn't know how long I lasted in there. I mean, I'm surprised I lasted as long as I did. I ended up dying pretty quickly after that. Now, normally when you die in something like this, you just respawn back at the entrance to the dungeon, and you lose any items that you had equipped that were not legendary, or said items that were just random powerful items that you found in previous runs. And I lost a couple of those. I lost like a ring and a necklace that I had picked up that run. But that wasn't even the worst part. The worst part was that when I tried to re-enter the greater rift, I couldn't. The game would not let me. It said that I did not have permission to be there. I was too low level. And I was like, great, now I can't even get back in there to try to get my items back. I was stuck. I had no idea what to do at this point. I ended up having to go into hardcore mode to reset my character. And I was like, really? I mean, come on. If you go into hardcore mode, there's no undo button. There's no reset button. Like if you die in hardcore mode, your character is gone forever. And I was like, no, I don't want to do that. At this point, I had no idea what to do. I had no clue. So I ended up asking somebody on the forums, and someone told me what I needed to do. They said I needed to go to the Act 1 portal and use a reset stone. This reset stone is something that you can pick up early on in the game that allows you to reset your character if you die. Normally, you wouldn't use this unless you made a mistake while you were playing the game, like if you accidentally left the game or something like that. But you could also use it in a situation like this, where you were forced into a greater rift that you weren't supposed to be in. So, I went back to the beginning of the game and I used the reset stone and I was like, finally, I can get back to work. The moral of the story is that you should always make sure you read the level requirements. I mean, that goes for anything, not just video games. That's just one thing I've learned in life. Make sure you read the fine print. Another thing that I've learned in life is that sometimes people are just plain evil. This happened to me while I was playing Fallout 4. Now, if you haven't played this game before, it takes place in an open world and there are tons of things to do. And one of those things is to complete quests. There are main quests and side quests, and you can choose to do them in whatever order you want. Now, when you complete a quest, usually you get rewarded with something. Maybe it's money, maybe it's caps in this case, or maybe it's an item, or maybe it's just experience. Now, there are some quests in this game that have multiple outcomes, depending on how you complete them. In other words, if you do certain things during the quest, you will receive a different reward than if you didn't do those things. One of these quests is called the Silver Shroud. During this quest, you play as a radio host and you have to complete different tasks. And one of those tasks involves helping a woman named Raylight. Now there are two possible outcomes to this quest. One outcome gives you a unique weapon, and the other outcome gives you a unique outfit. What I did was I helped this woman, but I also killed some raiders that were attacking her caravan. And I was like, okay, great. I helped her out. I defended her caravan. I thought that would be the end of it, but no, she ended up betraying me anyway. I didn't know this at the time, but apparently if you kill the raiders, she's not happy about it. And I thought I was supposed to kill the raiders. I was thinking to myself, this is just a simple misunderstanding. She doesn't know that I was the one who killed the raiders. All I have to do is prove to her that I wasn't involved and everything will be fine. So I went back to her caravan and I talked to her and I was like, hey, I didn't kill those raiders. Somebody else did. And she's like, okay, well, why don't you go talk to this guy over here and see what he says? So I go talk to the guy and the guy's like, yeah, you were the one who killed the raiders. I'm like, no, I wasn't. I swear. And he's like, well, too bad I saw you do it. So I was like, great. Now I have to fight this guy. I thought maybe I could defeat him. And then she would believe me. But no, unfortunately, that did not happen. When I defeated him, she just ran away. And I was like, no, she's not coming back. I mean, this is ridiculous. I literally just saved her life, and now she's running away. The moral of the story is to make sure that you don't trust people too easily. Sometimes they might bite you in the butt later on. As you can see from these stories, it's important to read the fine print. Don't trust anybody and always learn from your mistakes. Well, that's all I have for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed this 10-minute video about gaming fails and lessons learned. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button below to let me know. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.